Ready?
Welcome everyone to our 70th 4th of July celebration here at Ramakrishna Monastery. As you all know, we've been doing this since 1951. Like last year, this is unusual, but not anymore unprecedented. We're still having under certain COVID restrictions, and I personally feel I need to apologize and give an explanation why you guys are not here. Well, it's not just because of COVID. We still have some restrictions in place, but also I need you to know that we have issues with our monastery road. A few years ago, like every year, we keep praying for rains, we keep praying for water, and looks like God listened to our prayers, and it rained so much that we had mudslides, and it really damaged our road. And it's been cracking in the last few years, so there is only a space for one car for going up and down the hill. That's the main reason why you guys are not here celebrating together. We could have done it in the open, in our beautiful grounds, but unfortunately, because of the road and also some other facilities that we all need as humans, like restrooms, for example, that we are working on it for you, we will definitely start doing this again next year, hopefully, by the grace of Sri Ramakrishna. Thank you so much for joining us from home. Happy Independence Day. This is wonderful. Swami Vivekananda loved the United States so much. He's so connected and tuned with the U.S. ideals and principles, like liberty, freedom. You all know this quote given by Patrick Henry: "Give me liberty or give me death." I heard this many years ago when I was, I think, a teenager, and I really loved it. It's full of meaning, right? Well, these words, as you know, are attributed to Patrick Henry as part of his speech urging the American colonies to revolt against England. A little bit more than a year before the Declaration of Independence. This happened exactly at the Second Virginia Convention on March 23rd, 1775, at the St. John's Church in Richmond, Virginia. He said, "Our brethren are already in the field. Is life so dear, or peace so sweet, as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery? Forbid it, Almighty God. I know not what course others may take, but as for me, give me liberty or give me death." Wow, daring words and bold words indeed. So, why am I quoting this today? Well, as you know, the topic chosen for today's celebration is claiming our spiritual freedom. And just like Patrick Henry, we should all cry out loud and say, "Give me freedom or give me death." But what is the cost and what is the context, spiritually speaking? Well, the Vedanta and the Upanishads, particularly, you know, Vedanta means the Upanishads. They claim that, and they encourage all of us to claim our spiritual freedom. But first thing first, in order to claim our spiritual freedom, we need to understand that we are slaves. Oh, wait a minute, Swami, I thought by all these patriots, and we got, the American freedom, and we are celebrating the independence, and we are free. Well, physically, we have democracy, freedom of speech, etc., etc. But humanly, from the human point of view, we should all have to understand and accept that we are not free. We are slaves of our senses. We are not yet masters of ourselves. So Vedanta demands that we claim that. Swami Vivekananda says, why should you go to seek for what you never lost? Why should you go to seek for what you never lost? You are pure already. You are free already. If you think you are free, free you are at this moment. And if you think you are bound, bound you will be. As he was speaking these bold words, he said, I am frightened. I know what I'm saying is shocking you. But you should think over it. You should think over it and realize it in your own life. Then you will come to know that what I say is true. For supposing that freedom is not your nature, by no manner of means can you become free. Supposing you were free and in some way you lost that freedom, that shows that you were not free to begin with. Had you been free, what could have made you lose it? The independent can never be made dependent. If it is really dependent, its independence was a hallucination. These are very profound words. But just like the Vedanta message about our divinity of the soul is so simple, Tat Twamasi, thou art that, so simple, but it's so hard to understand and most importantly, to accept it. We are divine beings. We are the Atman. We are free already. We need to understand we are free already. We haven't lost anything. But again, we come down to our daily life and daily reality. We don't feel free. We are slaves of our emotions, our likes and dislikes. And so it goes. The independent can never be made dependent. If it is really dependent, its independence was a hallucination. That is how we claim our spiritual freedom. We need to dare to die in order to be free. Let us claim our real identity, our true identity in oneness. Claiming our spiritual freedom is the topic for today. To honor Swami Vivekananda and our Independence Day. We have among us Swami Sarvadeva. He is the head and spiritual minister of the Vedanta Society of Southern California. And we have from Hollywood Center, Swami Satyamayananda. He is the assistant minister, to whom both of you pronounce. Pronounce to all my seniors, namaste, greetings to all. So I'm calling right now Swami Sarvadeva to join us here and expand the topic, claiming our spiritual freedom. Thank you, Maharaj.
Today we are here to celebrate this wonderful idea of freedom. Swami Vivekananda emphasized that, as you have heard just now. Freedom is the song of the soul. If we look at the nature, nothing wants to be subdued by anything else. Any obstacle comes, tiny plant is trying to raise and it wants to go towards light. Any obstacle comes, it turns its direction, even incapable to fight. If we look at an ant, a microwave, a tiger, in any range of human existence, there is this cry of freedom. But wonderfully just presented, our freedom does not come until we die. What death? Death after our tiny, puny ego. Death of our tiny, puny emotions. Our understanding and wrong understanding, right and wrong both. So that should die. That's why it is said that the scripture suggests that you die to be renewed in your own spirituality. Spirituality is our inherent capacity. We are free souls, as you have just heard. And in every country, if we look at, not in this US, not in only this America or India, how much in freedom for the fighting for the freedom, how many people dedicated their life, how many men, women were tortured to the extreme, but they loved that. When there was a Indian great dedicator, his name Shudiram, he was hanged because he was found trying to uproot the rules of British rules, and then he was hanging, but his face is beaming with joy. As the day came, his body weight increased because he was happy that he is dedicating his life for the freedom of the country. Freedom in the country is a goal, but higher goal is there. Highest goal is that which we are talking, our topic is claiming our spiritual freedom. That freedom which is beyond all limitations, all forcing our reality. We cry for our little things, but we miss the major thing. So as Swami Vivekananda said, we are free. We are hypnotized. But who has made this hypnotism to me? Swami Vivekananda says de-hypnotizing is the goal of our life. That is the claim. I am responsible to de-hypnotize myself. I am finding great joy in being in ignorance, in feeling that I am the body, and I am the mind, and I am the emotions. And I am what I understand but to transcend that, there's a struggle. And that is de-hypnotizing ourselves, and that is our claiming, our spirituality. Otherwise, who has hypnotized me? Who has made me bound? It is me. It is my own thinking, my own feeling, my own understanding has created what I am now. So it is to be made a concrete idea that freedom is inherent in us. No one has taken away. But I have created a veil before me and clouded the eternal sun which is inside. A little cloud, a little patch of cloud just takes away from our view the most powerful sun, its radiance, its power. So similarly, the soul is here, full of bright and illumination. It is eternal life, it is eternal light, it is eternal freedom, it is eternal joy and blessings. But how poorly and we claim, we move around and not claiming our real identity. So this bound soul we are, it is our choice. We should have to choose that I want to be free. And that is our claiming. As we have heard Swami Yogananda mention, that there is a potential in all of us. And we will have to do that. And sometimes this comes to a discriminative mind. But how the discriminative mind will come, that it is not me, this is me, and this is not me. And the scriptures are replete with this thought. And Swami Vivekananda, coming here to the length and breadth of the country, only he spread this message of freedom. To the idea of the sin, no sin. It is misunderstanding, it is ignorance. Swamiji emphasized again and again. And we have to work in that line to reclaim our own spiritual freedom. So discriminative mind will demand our real identity. Discrimination is to be practiced but how it comes in our life, it comes in different ways. When we are happy with all the experiences of life which the sensate world can give, I am happy here, so I think that is my freedom. But the experience as we go through, we find, after a little few steps moving in that direction, we find, oh, that I thought which is freedom, oh my God, it is a bondage. If we look and analyze our life, we want to do good to others, we want to do so many things for others, but we, remaining in our ignorance, we create trouble for ourselves, and we cry, and we cannot give freedom to others. That's why it is we are to have, life gives us knocks and blows, and probably that opens up a question in us. Swami Vivekananda's another poem is there, all of us know that. This is the Song of the Free. And this was written to Miss Mary Hell in February 15, 1895. That here Swami Vivekananda said that it is not to cry, it is not to weep when we face challenges, to be bold, and to flare up, which is potential inside. As Swamiji is always fire, and he believes that when difficulties, sufferings come, then it opens up our inner consciousness. And that when inner awareness comes, then we move towards our freedom. Otherwise we are happy with the situations. That's why Swami Vivekananda said in another place that the suffering or misery or facing challenges are more awakening to us rather than the time of pleasure, time of happiness and joy when we go through that. That's why Swamiji said here, the wounded snake, its hood unfurls. The flame stirred up doth blaze. The desert heart, air resounds the call of heart-struck lion's rage. It's a giving when desperate for surviving, when desperate for little peace, little joy, a blow comes and we get shattered. Swamiji's idea, that there comes the awakening. And that awakening leads us step by step to the freedom and to the freedom. He says that the cloud puts forth its deluge strength when lightning cleaves its breast, when the soul is stirred to its inmost depth, great ones unfold their best. This is a beautiful language. When the soul is stirred to its inmost depth, the situation, the environment, when we face challenges, it stirs up inside. Why? And then a question comes, and then that opens our door to move towards liberation and freedom. And this search then continues. Let eyes grow dim, heart grow faint, and friendship fail and love betray. Let fate its hundreds horrors, that clotted darkness block the way. All nature wear one angry frown to crush you out. Still know, my soul, you are divine. March on and on, not right nor left, but to the goal. So this is a beautiful message what we can carry today. That it is not to sit in one corner and cry, where is freedom? Who will give me freedom? I am holding the rope. It is my responsibility to let go, as also to think what these miseries and sufferings, whatever we get into life, how it can benefit us to lead us towards freedom. That's the very beautiful idea. And Swami Vivekananda says that no, don't identify with anything, nor an angel eye, nor man, nor brute, nor body, mind, nor he, nor she. The books do stop in wonder mute to tell my nature, I am he. So this identification with all the angelic power, noble power, or whatever, when it goes through suffering, misery, pleasure, pain, everything whatever happens, that is all not me. Neither I am angel, neither I am brute, neither I am man, neither I am woman, neither my body, nor my mind, nor he, nor she. How will reach that state? Until and unless we become discriminative. And when we know this, what a grand transformation comes. We really can love everyone, because I know that is the freedom. Love is freedom. But we know that love in our life, love is always bondage. Love is always control. I love you means I control you. I want that you should follow me. The way I want, you should do that. I love you so much. That is a common thing we find in our day-to-day experience. But this is a love Swami Vivekananda wanted to give. And that is the freedom. Love freely. And Swami Vivekananda said, I don't, let this dream, from dream awake, from this bond, be free. Be not afraid. This mystery, my shadow, cannot frighten me. Know once for all that I am he. With this experience, what will happen? That whole world will be transformed, in my view. And that is called spirituality. The unfoldment of the inner divinity. And that divinity unfolds, and it sees that it is everywhere. Whom I was frightened, whom I saw as suffering, it is all that divine. So, to reach that state and reach that freedom, we should have to be careful and attentive to the ideals, that we are not to purchase that freedom, or the freedom of the soul, or our own spiritual nature. It is already here, only we have forgotten. And when difficulties and sufferings come, we try to run away. But Swami Vivekananda teaches us, try to learn out of that and see what is this. Minus that divinity, minus that freedom, it is all bondage. Whether a monk or a householder, or even an angel, all are bound by their own limitations of attachment and identification. To cut that attachment, to cut that identification with a little and then spread into the infinite, that is freedom. So, this wonderful day, to remember these fiery words of Swami Vivekananda, to feel the freedom and freedom of all. And we all, sometimes we forget, even misunderstand this, that freedom is my freedom over yours. But my freedom should not bother your freedom. Real freedom, when it comes, my freedom gives you feel free. Our Ranganathananda Swami said that he used to free like that, and whenever anyone is coming, he feels that he is same. That opens up, and that is not a mere show from outside, but it is the inner feeling comes, and see that oneness. So that freedom is to be the search for all of us, and we are always moving in that direction, consciously or unconsciously. That's true. We are all moving towards freedom. whether consciously or unconsciously. When we unconsciously go, we don't get its benefit and enjoy it. And when we consciously move, we call spiritual practice. We call spiritual sadhana. And then we awake into our own divinity. And divinity means freedom. Freedom means joy. Joy means liberty. Joy means peace and total identification with the whole universe. So this is the day to remember it. I thank you all for joining, though virtually. We are sorry. We are all wishing to open up. We want, like before, this hall will be full as we used to enjoy and you used to enjoy. But because of Swami has already given you 3 reasons. Because of that, one is the COVID situation, another is the road condition, another is that it is not yet ready to open up according to rules. Anyhow, so we will be very glad to open up, but when, only God knows. But we are hoping that after summer, maybe we shall see how it goes. And we get little freedom then. Okay, thank you all. Jai Ma.
Thank you so much, Swami Sarvadevananda Maharaj. We have Swami Satyamayananda ji joining us from Hollywood, live from Hollywood. Is he there? In just a minute. Okay, now. Welcome, Maharaj.
Thank you.
Is he live?
Yeah. I can hear you loud and clear.
Wonderful. Welcome to our Traviko program. So I am handing over the program to you, Maharaj. Please go ahead.
Om Namah Shri Yatirajaya Vivekananda Suraya Satchit Sukha Swarupaya Swami Netapaharini. Salutations to the Prince of Yogins, Sage Vivekananda, who is Satchidananda himself, the remover of all miseries. Oh, peace, 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 peace. So I would like to start with thanking Swami Sarvadevananda for his introductory speech and the kind words Swami Dhyana Yogananda of Trabuco has spelled out for us regarding claiming our spiritual freedom. I also wish to wish you all a very happy birthday, 245th Independence Day, which was started in 1776. Now, Swami Vivekananda, he came to this country in July, late July. He first reached Vancouver, British Columbia, in July 25th, 1893. And for almost 3 years, rather 2 years and 8 months, till mid-April 1896, he toured the United States after the Parliament of Religions. When we were young, we were wondering what made him tour the United States with all its difficulties during that time. His second visit also started in 1899, end of August, and till 1900, July 25th, he was mainly on the West Coast, where we are in California and Los Angeles. So altogether, Swami Vivekananda spread out his American work for almost 4 years, 3 years and about 7 months, 6 or 7 months. What made him do that? Well, at Mount Abu, the place in India, where he meets Swami Brahmananda and Swami Turiyananda, his brother disciples, he says that all you see what's happening there, that is in Chicago, is being readied for this place, me here. So on a spiritual plane, he was aware that America was getting ready to listen to him. And saying the Divine Mother has shown it to me. He also speaks about the accumulation of his power to Swami Trigunatitananda. He's saying there is so much accumulation of power within me. I would revolutionize the whole world. Here we have a second reason, because one needs to have that spiritual capacity. The third is, Sri Ramakrishna had mentioned it to him that you will have to teach. Narayan Shikka Deve. Narayan will teach the world. And he said, no, I won't. And Sri Ramakrishna said, your very bones will do it. And later on, he says, I have a message for the West, like Buddha had a message for the East. So you see, his most mature preaching life was spent in the United States of America. Why, after more than 128 years, there has been no perceptible changes in the American psyche regarding Vedanta? There's a smattering of a few Vedanta societies here and a few Vedanta societies there, and we are in a tight circle. It's a kind of a tight community. But it has not spread the way we were expecting it. But then, like always, there is a different levels of realities, political, national, social, psychological, and as we know, spiritual. It is working on the spiritual realm. Swami Vivekananda, when he came here to the West, his first mission was to preach Vedanta, as Sister Gargi mentions. Second, to collect funds for his project, to help India. When he traversed the length and breadth of the country, he saw the appalling poverty and ignorance. He wanted to alleviate that poverty and ignorance. And the third is, he wanted to give a correct interpretation of Hinduism. So his preaching of Vedanta, collecting funds, and the correct interpretation of Vedanta. 128 years ago, things are extremely different. He found, even after getting a contract with the lecture bureau, he could not collect sufficient money, and he was disillusioned with that idea. Secondly, that idea of the mission which Sri Ramakrishna had instilled in him then took predominance over his work. And you see him traveling from village to village, from city to city, from county to county and state to state, preaching the message of Vedanta. Now, what is this Vedanta? We have heard so much about freedom. Freedom is the song of the soul, and freedom, and we are free, and we are bound, and etc., etc. Swami Trigunatitananda, who spent many years in San Francisco preaching, he's saying, do or die, but you will not die. You need to sacrifice, like you have these first freedom fighters, those who wanted to get away from the colonial, you can say, shackles of Britain. They declared independence and they fought for it. In India also, we fought for our independence, but unfortunately in India, political freedom came at a very, very heavy price. So we should not forget all the sacrifices made by all the people for us to enjoy this freedom today. We are talking about claiming our spiritual freedom. We've heard about suffering and this and that and how bondage is there, but everybody has kind of more or less understood the whole thing. But where exactly is the bondage? Simply saying, oh, it's in the mind, it's not, that will not do. So we are a mixture of both freedom and bondage. We feel free, and yet at the same time, we are shown how bound we are. So this human personality, in fact, the whole of creation, is a mixture of this freedom and bondage. Where do they lie? When you talk about freedom and you talk about bondage, these two things are diametrically opposite. You cannot put both these things together. How can you have bondage where there's freedom? And how can you have freedom where there's bondage? It's just impossible. Metaphysically, it is not logical to have freedom here and bondage at the same side. But what are we experiencing right now? So Shankaracharya, in his great discourse on the Brahma Sutras, in the introduction, he says, both these things are contradictory. Freedom and bondage, like light and darkness. Yet, due to you can say unreal ignorance, we tend to superimpose the freedom of the soul on the body, etc. And the body and mind and senses, etc., we superimpose it on the soul. There is a mutual superimposition. And as a result, there's a universal experience, I am this. Aham idam, mama iti, this is mine. How does that come about? How can freedom and bondage ever mix? Though they are contradictory like light and darkness. So we have something called the great doctrine of superimposition. We superimpose the idea of freedom on bondage, on the bound body and mind, and we superimpose the body, mind, etc. on the Atman, which is free. So there is a kind of a mix-up, a mixture of both freedom and bondage. And that is what we are. How do we go about it? We're talking about claiming our spiritual freedom, and that needs spiritual tools. But before we can get into the spiritual tools, you need to have society that is free. You need to have a nation that is free. You need to have a society and a psychology, in the individual that speaks about this kind of freedom and which can be actualized. So it is only after all these goals are met, the spiritual freedom can be worked upon. If you are bound in a bound society, in a bound body and mind, seeking freedom will be kind of useless. So you have to have your surroundings, your environs free. Why? Because your freedom can act as a catalyst for others' freedom. That's the reason why we say that this spiritual freedom, claiming the spiritual freedom, comes at the culmination of a mature civilization, a mature line of series of freedoms, I would say. It is not just, let's claim it, this is mine. It won't happen like that. It is a series of freedoms, individual as well as collective, that results in the inquiry of spiritual freedom. Now, what is a spiritual freedom? As we have heard all through, that it is the soul is always free. Why does the soul feel bound? The soul feels bound because it has contracted itself. That is the illusion, what Vedanta speaks. When the soul expands, that is the, you can say, realization of your spiritual freedom. So how do we expand our spiritual freedom? We claim our spiritual freedom first by working for others, by serving others, by loving others. Because if you love and serve and work for you, that is more bondage. All these tools are only meant for breaking down the walls of identity, the false identity that we have assumed over lifetimes. We are committing the same mistake over and over and over again. And we need now to take stock. These days, when people are celebrating freedom, there is something in the air that lends a spark to our pursuit of spiritual freedom also. As we know that Swami Vivekananda also gave up his body on this day, 4th of July. Does Swami Vivekananda cease to exist? He says, it's good to get out of my body, to cast it off like a worn-off garment, but I will not cease to work. I will work till the world shall know it is one with God. This is Swami Vivekananda's mission after his Mahasamadhi. You've heard his mission in America from 1893 till 1900. And then before that, he had his life of wandering around the country for 7 years. And before that, he had his life of spiritual disciplines and also realizations. You had his life as a young boy and growing up in Calcutta. You see a series of the chapters of his life unfolding. And they completely unfold into a grand chapter. The grand chapter is after the 4th of July. Swami Vivekananda has expanded his realm to all over the world. He is no longer confined to his body and working through a body for others' freedom. Now he is a spirit and he is working to liberate us spiritually. And that's why he said, I will not cease to work. And this is his work today. We are all gathered today in the name of freedom, in the name of Vivekananda. This is Vivekananda's work. And slowly and gradually, we will actualize our efforts are impelled by Vivekananda's powers. It goes without saying that he is the inspiration, he will be the inspiration behind every thought and word and deed that we have. Slowly, as we keep on proceeding, Swami Vivekananda will always be with us, guiding us, helping us, egging us onwards towards freedom, the real freedom. And then we will claim that freedom as ours. Then we will be truly free in the strictest sense of the term. And this spiritual inheritance is everyone's property. It belongs to everyone. No race, no sex, no caste, no creed, nothing. It is the very nature of every human being. And it is the duty of every human being to claim that spiritual inheritance. I remember when Rahula, who was the son of Buddha, when Buddha visited his old home, Rahula was told by his mother, Yashodhara, he had grown up. And Buddha has returned after his enlightenment, after years of struggle. And then his mother tells Buddha's son, go to Buddha, that is your father. He is a lion amongst men. Go and claim your inheritance. What inheritance? Not that of a prince, but the inheritance of his father's spiritual treasures. That was what he claimed from his father, and he got it. Today also we need to go to Swami Vivekananda and claim our spiritual freedom, because he has worked for our spiritual freedom. He will give it to us. That is the day we'll have to take our freedom, the freedom that we have received from Vivekananda, and spread it all over to other people, to all the nations of the world. That will be the perfect liberty, perfect freedom, perfect joy. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu.
Beautiful message, Maharaj. Thank you so much. To claim our freedom is to claim our spirituality as divine beings. Swami Vivekananda said, we are all divine beings who have to manifest our divinity from within by mastering the inner and external nature. That's a lot of work, I know, but for that we have lots of means, spiritual practices. So let us commit to that goal of life, to claim our divinity and claim our freedom. Now with all of us we have Heather and David and Heather Hathaway. They go by Deva, and you all know them. They are our dear devotees, and thank you so much for being with us today.
Jai Shri Ram Krishna. That was two. Yo.
Come on, everybody. One more.
Seriously?
Yeah. Why not?
I think everybody wants to eat.
What about that kid of yours? The latest.
Which one was that?
Oh, the one you showed me the other day.
I sang that in Shrine Room
Oh, okay.
during the puja. You missed that.
Sing it again. Which one?
Krishna, no, I cannot sing that again.
No?
No, like bro.
You can. That's loud.
Let's do Shiva, Shiva, Shiva. You're on camera. People have to sing though, that's the condition. Shiva, Shiva. No, I'm in the wrong key, sorry. Shiva, Shiva, Shambho, Shankara. Hara, 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 Mahadeva. Shiva, Shiva, Shambho, Shankara. Hara, 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 Mahadeva. Ganga Jatadara, Gauri Manohara, Patipuri Parameshwara. Ganga Jatadara, Gauri Manohara, Patipuri Parameshwara. Shiva, Shiva, Shambho, Shankara. Hara, 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 Mahadeva. Shiva, Shiva, Shambho, Shankara. Hara, 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 Mahadeva. Ganga Jatadara, Gauri Manohara, Patipuri Parameshwara. Ganga Jatadara, Gauri Manohara, Patipuri Parameshwara. Shiva, Shiva, Shambho, Shankara. Hara, 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 Mahadeva. Shiva, Shiva, Shambho, Shankara. Hara, 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 Mahadeva. Ganga Jatadara, Gauri Manohara, Patipuri Parameshwara. Ganga Jatadara, Gauri Manohara, Patipuri Parameshwara. Shiva, Shiva, Shambho, Shankara. Hara, 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 Mahadeva. Shiva, Shiva, Shambho, Shankara. Hara, 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 Mahadeva. Hara, 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 Mahadeva. Hara, 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 Mahadeva. Hara, 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 Mahadeva. Ganga Jatadara, Gauri Manohara, Patipuri Parameshwara. Ganga Jatadara, Gauri Manohara, Patipuri Parameshwara. Shiva, Shiva, Shambho, Shankara. Hara, 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 Mahadeva. Shiva, Shiva, Shambho, Shankara. Hara, 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 Mahadeva. Hara, 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 Mahadeva. Hara, 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 Mahadeva. Shiva, Shiva, Shambho, Jai Ma.
So the space is quite limited, but I really would love all the brothers and everyone I was saying that the space is a little limited, but why don't we remove this and call all of you guys, come from to the front, and let's say goodbye to all our devotees and thank everybody for this beautiful, beautiful day. Thank you guys. Deva, each day you're doing, guys, better and better. Come on, Ananta. Yeah, we can move this. Come, Maharaj. Please, take the lead. Come on, come. Everybody is shy. Come here. Please come, Maharaj. Oh, brothers. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, that outer world is Purna, full of divine consciousness. This inner world is also Purna, full of divine consciousness. From Purna comes Purna. From the fullness of divine consciousness, the world is manifested. Taking Purna from Purna, Purna indeed remains. Because divine consciousness is non-dual and infinite. Om, peace, peace, peace to all. Jai Shri Guru Maharaj Ji ki Jai. Jai Swami Ji Maharaj Ji ki Jai. Jai Shri Shri Sarat Mahadevi Jai. Jai Ma. Thank you. Next year, I look forward to seeing all of you here at Ravyuko at this venue, Ramakrishna Monastery, in person.
Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving? Not sure.
Maybe
that's a family one. Jai Ramakrishna. Jai Ma. Well, lunch is ready. Natalie. Hi. Bella, Natalie.